So I don't think it's going to surprise any of you that I am a pretty driven, ambitious creature, right? I think some of you might relate. I shot straight through college, vet school, internship, residency, like I was fired out of a gun. I was buying in to be a practice owner within 2 years of completing my residency. But what might surprise you is that for a lot of years, that ambition tortured me. This brain is fueled on things like anxiety, perfectionism, competitiveness, and let's not lie, entirely too much caffeine. So one day I was telling my therapist about all of this, about my intrusive thoughts and my obsessive ruminations, my insomnia, all of it. And she just said, hey, Carrie, I'm gonna stop you right there. You know all that stuff you're talking about, those thoughts? You know those are part of the reason you're a good doctor, right? What? No, hold the front door. Those thoughts, those are my secret shame. Those are my demons. Those are the things that wake me up at 2 o'clock in the morning, the things that I strive to choke down every day. So not everyone in the world will see what a complete hot mess I am on the inside. How could those thoughts be the source of my greatest accomplishment? But she was right. She's a pretty good therapist after all. And that's when I figured out that anxiety is my superpower. And it's not really the one I was hoping for, you know? I mean, like, strength or flying or laser eyes or hell, even talking to fish would be preferable. But no, I get to be Captain Anxiety. Oh well. But I am a huge comic book nerd, huge. In fact, I'm going to Avengers tonight, and I love you all, but I'll be back right after. And I know that every comic book superhero has an origin story, and in that origin story, they have a moment where they struggle with their powers, where they really just wish they would go away so they could be normal. But that never really works out. And to be those people they want to be, those heroes, they need to learn to accept themselves and learn to use their superpowers for good. So that's what I decided that I needed to do. And being the cynical type A nerd that I am, I couldn't just like listen to my therapist. No. I had to read the primary literature, show me the peer review. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about things I read and things I've done that have helped me learn to use my superpowers for good. So the first study that really helped me was by Zenner and his colleagues. They went in on the very first day of vet school and gave a bunch of psychologic screening tests to the incoming freshman class at WSU, as if that day isn't stressful enough. But they gave these tests to these kids, these young adult doctors, near to be doctors, and then they compared the results to other high achievers, specifically competitive athletes and high-achieving high school students. And guys, before you set one tiny toe in the clinic, statistically, you have elevated levels of anxiety, perfectionism, and competitiveness. Sound familiar? Sounds familiar to me. Let that sink in. We are more competitive than professional athletes. Sounds like my vet school class. And this study really, to me, was comforting. It really just told me I really wasn't all that abnormal. I really didn't have that much to be ashamed about. In fact, by becoming a veterinarian, I'd found my tribe. You guys are my hyper-competitive, perfectionist, anxious tribe. God bless. So that let me step out of shame and just get real. You know, it let me stop trying to achieve this perfectionist ideal of this person I was supposed to be and just get real about who I actually am, right? And let me stop trying to emulate other people's path to success and focus on my own natural talent. So if you are Spider-Man and you want to soar through the air, if you put Superman's cape on and get to the top of a building and put your hand in the air and jump, you are going to fall on your face. But if you're Spider-Man and you work on your web slinging, you still get to soar through the air. You can achieve that goal, but you need to work on your own natural talent. So that's what I wanted to do. And the first thing I needed was a throttle, because baby, this motor runs hot. If you've met me, you will soon find out that I am a perpetual motion machine. It's not entirely bad, right? I get a lot done. I was doing a lecture with my friend Nicole, and she said working with me is like working with an octopus, because I have like 8 hands instead of the normal 2. But like a border collie confined to a 1-bedroom apartment, when left understimulated, this brain is prone to mischief. So I gave myself the same advice that I would give to any border collie owner, and I took myself for a run. And I hate running. I hate it. I hate it 3 to 4 days a week when I have the time. I hate it, but I do it because it burns some of this crazy energy up and lets me focus. It gives me some of that control. And in fact, in a 2013 meta-analysis of 8,000 people with anxiety, they showed that moderate to vigorous exercise reduces the symptoms of nearly every anxiety disorder. Nearly every single one. And if you happen to need medications or therapy, exercise will actually improve your long-term treatment outcomes. So if you aren't doing it, 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise a week is what the World Health Organization recommends. And frankly, it's good for not only your body, but also your mind. So once I got a throttle, the next thing I needed to work on was my intrusive obsessive ruminations. This brain is really good at picking out risk, and then sorting it, and then chewing on it. And that's not an entirely bad thing in medicine. In fact, it's a pretty helpful skill. But my brain really likes to wallow in the negative. It likes to think about every possible negative consequence, and I needed to learn to spend more time in the positive. So how could I, a cynical type A veterinarian who wears entirely too much black eyeliner, learn about the positive? So I started to research optimism, and I learned that optimistic people are naturally better problem solvers. And oh my God, I want to be the best problem solver ever, because that means you're the best doctor ever. And so I was in, right? And so I started reading about the 3 good things exercise. Has anybody heard of this? So in the 3 good things exercise, you list 3 timely, specific, and small good things that have happened to you in the last day. It's not really helpful to think about big, broad concepts like I'm grateful for my career and my family and my health, because what we need to do is train our brain to find the tiny good things. So it's much more helpful to say, like, I had a really rockin' cup of coffee this morning. I am really feeling my snakeskin jumpsuit right now. Those are the things that we want to focus on. That's what we need to train our brain to do. So I'm going to ask you all to just do it with me right now. In the interest of time, we're just going to do one. If you have a pen in front of you, and I bet at least half of you do, please write down one specific, tiny, good thing that happened to you today. That bed is super comfortable. That grilled cheese sandwich was awesome. Whatever it is, just one, please. So it's not that hard, right? It's actually pretty easy, but it is so, so powerful. This has been a huge level up in my life, huge. My brain doesn't wallow anymore. My brain believes that there are positive things in the world, so it goes looking for them. And that's been an amazing change for me. Amazing. In fact, I have to tell you that the first 10 times I heard about this exercise, it sounded like hippie woo, and I'm allergic to hippie woo. Allergic. But reading the primary literature told me that this exercise, amongst all gratitude exercises that exist, this one, the sustained practice of this one, is the biggest level up you can do for your optimism and your happiness. It doesn't work immediately. It actually takes about a month to work. But if you stick with it long term, it can have some big impacts. And if I'm being honest, if I look back at the me of 10 years ago, I am doing a lot better. I'm sleeping through the night. I'm pretty happy. I don't hate myself anymore. I'm not perfect. I'm still a person who's prone to burnout and overwork and feeling overwhelmed, and I'm trying to work on that with mindfulness. And I will tell you, as a person whose brain is won by a twitchy, caffeine-addicted squirrel, sitting still and quiet and trying to focus on your internal environment is not easy for me. But studies of ER nurses, mental health care workers, general care physicians say that if you practice mindfulness, you will reduce your burnout, you will last longer in your career, and you will reduce your perceived work overload. So even though it's really, really hard, I'm really, really going to do it. Nobody ever said that training your superpowers was going to be easy. And so my friends that picked medicine as your craft, you are superheroes. You're superheroes. And my friend Jason Heeks would tell you that you are a badass warrior in the fight against death. And that fight is not always easy. It's not. If you are struggling right now, I want you to know that that struggle, that pain, that's just your origin story. Be real with yourself. Be vulnerable. Get to work on doing the things you need to do to use your superpowers for good. I promise you, it's worth it.